Thank you.
All right. So in all presentations, I can't stand slide decks, but I did prepare one. It's a leftover, so don't worry. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. Don't fret. So let's go Shift F5. All right, boom. So this is the tool that we're going to talk through. We're going to kind of go through DAX templates. I have a little bit of an affinity for these things. DAX is very easy to understand, but it's difficult to master. And I think Kevin would back me up 100% on that one. You can start with it, but it gets quite complex pretty quickly, and you really need to spend some time learning how it works. And once you start understanding how it works, you can do some pretty incredible things with it. Now, there's a great community of really smart people out there. And so I think one of the big misses that Microsoft did not do was Microsoft didn't let you make your own DAX quick measure templates. You couldn't just make your own. It was kind of built into the
yeah, stay on track.
Baked in there, and it really wasn't like, anything specific. So, okay, great, that's a good starting point. But now, Microsoft opened up the desktop a little bit and let people build whatever they want to build. And so enter our version of DAX Quick Templates or DAX Templates. So I'm running a community project. Kevin is a great participator in the community project. The idea here is if you have common DAX statements that you're going to write over and over again, we have built a tool, a couple people off of the internet have kind of built a tool around this to kind of enable you to build what you feel is best practices or go find other people's code around DAX and easily share it between individuals. So this is a really, really interesting tool that we're going to get into. But anyways, we're going to get into the world's fastest DAX. All right, so moving on here, quickly a little blurb about me. I'm Mike Carlo. I run the website called powerbi.tips. If you haven't Googled me yet, maybe you've stumbled across my website. It used to be very yellow. We're kind of going more of this gray scale thing here now these days, but that's my website. I work with that with Seth Bauer. He is a co-owner of the website with me, and we just do everything Power BI related, right? We just love it. We think it's a game changer for companies. It is amazing that people are learning this, and there's a ton of people using it today, so we're really happy to be part of the community. We have the Explicit Measures podcast, so you can look for our little yellow podcast icon. You could go find us at powerbi.tips/podcast. We have well into the 80 episodes of podcasting things. We just like to laugh and have fun and discuss things and argue about stuff in the Power BI space. So that's really our intent there. And our intent is to, engage with the community, maybe throw out a couple nuggets of wisdom or knowledge there and just have fun with it. If you want to get a hold of me on social media, those are my socials. If you want to find me or message me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and then my YouTube channel. Okay, enough of that. The things that Power BI Tips does. So I've kind of been known for the theme generator. So the Power BI Tips theme generator was the very first theme generator tool that you could use to generate themes for Power BI Desktop. And with that has come a number of other ideas. And so you'll see now we have all these other kind of product ideas out here if you want to get involved or learn about the things that we give back to the community. Themes, the gallery of colors that we produce. We have model.powerbi.tips, which are for JSON files. Connections.powerbi.tips if you want to create a connected PBIDS file. We work a lot with the Charticulator project very early on, and we kind of created our own version of Charticulator, which is a custom visual. That's found at charts.powerbi.tips. And then we have our own version of how do you accelerate your report building? We're really big on making a great stylized and well-designed report. Well, how do you accelerate that speed? And so we also have scrims and layouts that are accelerators for you to be able to build your reports very quickly. So we do a lot of random things. A lot of this is community driven. And if you like random swag, I do. So if you want to, we have a store of just random Power BI things that we think are funny and funny sayings that we enjoy. So if you want to, you can go check out our store, swag.powerbi.tips. And there's a bunch of just fun t-shirts. We're typically trying to generate 1 or 2 new designs every quarter or so. So check the page often. You can maybe find something there that you like. Okay, enough of me blabbing about what I do and what I'm all about. Let's get right into doing the demos because this is what we're here for. All right, so let me jump out of here. I'll move over to Power BI Desktop. Okay.
I had to grab my hat when you put swag up, so I didn't know if you mentioned the The
Yeah.
nice hat that he has there. This one's not being raffled, by the way.
No, yeah. Well, if you want, we can do a bonus raffle if you'd like. I'll bonus raffle one off here too. So throw us a comment in the chat window if you guys would like to raffle off a second hat. I'll be more than happy to pitch in a hat tonight. So let us know in the comments if you want one. If we get enough people to vote on it, we'll do another one. All right. That being said, everyone can still see my desktop screen. Are we good there? Kevin, give me a confirmation. Are we good on the?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, just double checking. I want to make sure I don't drop out here. Okay, so we're just going to talk about what the anatomy of DAX is, and this is just again very basic to begin, but you can see very quickly how this could get very complex. Okay, so this is a very simple equation, and we're going to do a very simple version around this and how to use or create a DAX template using just a simple sum. So we all know how to write some DAX in basic formulas. The left-hand side of this is, I zoom it on. The left-hand side of this equation is all around the name of the measure, right? So that's the input parameter that you would build for the DAX statement. Then in all your DAX statements, there are functions that you can use. It's a functional based language. So in this example, it's very simple, but we have just this simple sum that's happening here, and that is your DAX function. There can be nested functions. There's calculate statements that are modifying a sum statement. You can do all kinds of really interesting things with your DAX statements. You can build date time calendars. And with that comes potentially a lot of code that you may have to write. And a lot of people that I know write their DAX statements, hang on to them and put them in like a OneNote, or maybe they have like a code library where they kind of put a couple code things down to hang on to their DAX statements. And then what you have in other parts of the DAX statement is you'll have table names and column names. And this is kind of the proper formatting of what you would use for table and or column names inside a DAX statement. So when you have a column, the proper syntax is the table name, and you use the single quotes if the table name has a space, or you take away the single quotes if the table does not have a space. So that's something to note there. And then the table column name is denoted by the braces. So the braces actually show you the name of the column that you're going after. Now, this is important because what we're trying to do with this project and this DAX template generator is, well, what if you wanted to reuse this? Like, how do I take this statement and put it in a different data model? Now, the output might still be sales or sum of sales in this case, right? The name of the measure might be the same, but you may not have a data table called sample data, and you may not have a column called sales. So how do you parameterize this, or how do you add variables to auto-generate DAX statements and so that you could move it between data models fairly easily? This is where our tool comes in. This is where the fastest DAX generator comes from. Okay, enough about that. We're going to go just build a simple table here. So I'm going to explain kind of what's going on here. We're going to just build a measure internally here to Power BI Desktop, and we'll start there. Okay, so I have a very simple data model, and let's just kind of look at what that's doing. Here's my data model. It's a very star schema-based model. All of my dimensions are on the top, and then all of my fact table is down below. So each of the dimensions modify the fact table. And you'll note here, if I select on one of these columns, I have these index columns. So what you'll see here is the index column from the product table matches the same column that's inside the main fact table. So one concept that I use a lot of when I talk with clients or when I do these things is we talk a lot about dimensions and facts. Dimensions are describing features, and facts are aggregators or numbers you would aggregate to get your answer. I'm holding very true to a very simple star schema model. That's very databasey. Everyone is not expected to know that, but just that's what we're doing. That's what we're working with here. Okay, with this, we can go back. So that's our data model. And now what we can do is we can go back over here to the report page. And in our fact sales table, we'll see we have a simple column called sales. And I'm not doing any aggregation to it. It's just the column of sales. So I can click the ellipsis here and click it on sum. And you'll see that we can now aggregate the entire column of sales and turn it into a single number. It's we're going to do the sum of that column. Okay. So if I was going to rewrite this equation, and again, I have for this particular column, even though this column is a numerical column, I'm turning the summarization to off to do not summarize because I want to illustrate to you really what's going on here. But it is a numerical column. Okay. I'm going to right click on the sales table. I'm going to say new measure. And here I will enter in some words around this. Sum of sales, and that's really small. So let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit bigger here. Okay, sum of sales equals, and now we're going to use the sum equation, sum. And now I need to call off the column name. So I'm going to start typing the word sales. And what I should get is my fact sales table name, and then the column called sales. Boom. All right, so now I've been able to write this statement. If I hit enter now, it will now create my measure for sum of sales, and we can verify this number is correct by now adding it to my sum of sales. And again, with all things dimensional and star schemas, we can use that simple sum in multiple places. So if I go grab my segments, drop them here, I can grab my sum of sales to that. Boom, it recalculates. Same thing for my date dimension. If I want dates, I can bring that in, and I can bring in my sum of sales. Boom, done. And all the best part, and why I think this is so cool, is measures equal the same total no matter where you go. You're changing the filter context of the measure, and it's able to then give you the breakdown or the decomposition of that total. Great. Now, how do we do this with our DAX Quicks measures? Let's figure how that works. So first things first, how do you install the program and where does this come from? I'm using a thing here called External Tools, and I'm installing it via a tool called Power BI BusinessOps. So let's go through that really quickly here. But at the end of the day, after you install the tool, you have the opportunity of having these two icons show up in your Power BI desktop file or your Power BI desktop program. So how do you find this? This is also another tool that I've built. It's actually a local installer for your computer, for your machine. It's called BusinessOps, and it does more than just install external tools. There are 50, 60, 70 external tools that are out there in the wild, but how's everyone going to know what external tools help you and aid you with Power BI Desktop? So that's what this tool solves. This tool, and if I run it up here on my machine, BusinessOps, this tool, I work with a team of volunteers across the internet, and we try to collect all of the relevant BusinessOps tools that are out across the web. And we have, like, there's learning sections in here where we have videos and links to videos about how to use Tabular Editor and DAX Studio. We have the Power BI's theme gallery is already built in here, so you can build your own custom theme files and download it right from here. If you want to go just look around and go find really interesting colors that you'd like to look at or view, you can go over here to the gallery section, and this is a infinity scroll list of individual colors. So as you scroll down this list, you can kind of see all these colors, and if you click on one of them, it will render a Power BI report inside the color schema. So it'll actually render a report and let you see what that color palette would look like on potential some graphs inside that as well. So again, this tool does more than just letting you install external tools. This is just one of many things that it does. So we go over here to external tools, and these are all the different external tools that we've collected across the internet for you to add into your desktop. So what you will do if you want to add one of these tools, I don't have Daniel's Tabular Editor 2 added. So you would click the checkbox, click the Add External Tools button on the bottom right-hand side, all the way down here. Add External Tools. Clicking that will then ask you to perform the installation. You say Install. It'll say, yep, it's successful, but do note you do need to restart desktop in order for this to work. One of the tools that we're using today, the two tools that we're talking to, are made by Dieter Thieren, and he's out of France, and he has made the Power BI Tools program. And with that, he's also made the DAX Generator. So the DAX Generator is the tool that we're focusing our time on. I've spent a number of hours working with Dieter to help him build it and think through features and like just try and really refine the idea around what this DAX generation would look like. So that's the tool that we're actually going to use. Okay, let me get out of BusinessOps. We've talked about that part. Okay, so now let's not write DAX with code. Let's write DAX with DAX Generator. So I'll go here to External Tools, and then I'm going to click on the button and the ribbon here called DAX Generator. When I click on DAX Generator here, what it will do is it will make a local connection to the data model that is inside my local machine. So it's actually connected into the model, And what it does here, I'll give you a quick overview of what's here. We go to built-in templates first. This program has a couple buttons on the upper left. You can use different templates. So you can use the ones that come with DAX Generator. There's like a little handful of them right here. And then you can also add a new template by clicking the plus sign. And then there's a open template wizard that kind of helps you navigate your way through and how to pick different fields for your data, your wizard. So it's a wizard to kind of help you automatically add DAX templates. There's also a help and a settings button that you can also adjust here some of the settings or features of DAX Generator as well. You can click this button here. It's actually a drop-down menu. You can also define your own user templates. So that's what I'm using. There's a Git repo that I have created. A number of community contributors are helping adding their own library or elements there as well. So if you are so inclined, if you want to try building your own templates, we'll show you how to do that in a little bit. But if you create some templates that you think are worth sharing, we're really looking for the community to kind of jump in here and make more of our templates. And my thought is, if more people just create templates that they're using over and over again, great. Now we can have templates a part of the community and we can reuse these things and share this knowledge more and more with the broader organization or broader the community. So if I go down here and say open in VS Code or open in Explorer, it'll actually let you see where those files are stored. So if I go to open in Explorer, this is where I have stored my DAX templates. And this is where the repo comes into play here for GitHub. And if you want to see the GitHub repo, here it is. So it's at powerbi.tips and it's DAX templates. That's the repo. So this repo has information about how to create your own. It tells you how to like contribute to the project, all kinds of other great things. And then in here you have a whole bunch of templates. So if you click on templates, we have things for compares, things for filters, math operations, text-based things, timed-based calculations, totals. And you can go through there. And Kevin has built a very nice PowerShell script that lets you read all the descriptions and what is in each of the files inside this nice little markdown file. So you can go here and in the README file, you can go through and just kind of browse, you know, what does top N1 per category look like? What's the description? How do you find it? Is there any more information on it? So just a lot of really rich documentation that's kind of built into the tool automatically. And just a great place to go play around with some more DAX stuff. Okay, back to our demo. Let's go over here to my custom templates. So I'm going to go click this, go to user templates, and then I'm going to minimize some folders here I don't need. And I'm going to go into the templates section. I'm going to minimize these things because everything's blown out here real big. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a template called a simple sum. And what the simple sum does is this is the UI for it. So the UI, now once you click on a measure over here on the left-hand side, these are the templates you can pick from. And then on the right-hand side, you actually have the different values or options you can set for that template. So a simple sum is my template. And then you can see that there's a description. So it has a name of it. It tells you like, okay, who wrote it? Is there a description about it? If there's any URLs that are helping you build it. And the ones that in the templates that I do, every DAX function that I use, I try and call off DAX.guide sum so you can go read up more documentation on how to go use that function or functions that are used in that template. If there are any instructions, you can write them out as well. So you can have a place where you can, have instructions for these templates. So, do this first, select this kind of column. Again, it's all about teaching someone how to use your template. And then finally, you actually have the definition of the template. This is what it looks like. This is the formula that we're going to support. So in this case, we go back up to the top section now. And now we can have the name of the measure. So we can have sum of column. And right now, this is just kind of a static text item here right now. But then you'll see note here, when I click on the second half of this, a little window pops up. And so this tool is connecting to the data model of my Power BI desktop and exposing to me all the different columns of items in here that I can go look at or touch. So for my simple sum equation, I'm going to go click the column called sales from the fact sales table. I'll click on that. And you'll notice it will write in there. It'll show me the text of what's being written. I'll click on the generate button, which will now create the template And so this is the DAX statement that has been created. It shows me the name of it and then the outputted equation so I can spot check it to see if it looks good. Okay, pretty neat. And then I can hit create/update. And it'll ask me where does it want me to put this calculation? So I need to place it somewhere. So I'm going to place it here in the fact sales table, and then boom. It says the measure of sum of column has been made in the fact sales. As soon as I minimize this, you'll notice right away, my new measure has been automatically injected right into Power BI Desktop. So right here, we just made that with a couple clicks. So instead of having to type a bunch of things, instead of having to do a bunch of repetitive stuff, I can now just quickly inject something there, which is kind of cool. So now instead of using our sum of sales previously, we can now go grab our new column called sum of column, which probably should name better, but whatever. We can now grab that and add it here. And now we know that one now works. We have the same column calculation that we had previously. Cool. All right. Yeah, Michael, I could have written some, not a big deal. Okay, we're starting slow and we're going to ramp up a little bit. Okay, so let's imagine now, now that we've got this idea of like a template and how does that template influence, or how can we use a template? Like, what are the things that we can do with a template? Okay, this is where templates get really interesting. In quick measures that you use from Power BI Desktop, you can build one measure at a time. Well, we thought, shoot, what happens if I select a column and I want to calculate it multiple times, or I want to do multiple measures on a column? So let's just say I want to run, I want to pick a column that's a number, and I want to do a minimum, a maximum, an average, a count of rows, distinct count of rows. I want to have some basic statistics all created for me inside that template. Well, I'm glad you asked. All right, so let me go back over here, back to this next one here. So now we have our same table here, our sales table. So I'm using the original column here. Let's turn this into sum of sales. And so now we can see that. Great. Okay, cool. So now let's do it again. We're going to go back here to external tools. I think I've already opened it, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to go back into DAX Generator. And now this time, I'm going to grab a different template. This template allows you to aggregate multiple measures off of a single column. And so what you can do now is this is going to create a min, a max, an average, a sum, a count. And you'll notice something interesting here. You see this underscore thing, underscore column name. Okay. If you look down here below, you can also see that there's another item called column name as well. So what happens here is you can parameterize anything you want in a DAX statement. So this is where things get, I think, really cool. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go pick a table name. We're going to pick a table. So this is telling me right here, I'm going to go select the table name, and it's going to go select from the model a table only item. So I'll click on the green here, and I'll go back to my data model. And you'll note now I'm not seeing a whole bunch of extra stuff underneath these tables. This is only the table level detail of the model, which is awesome because now it's actually telling me exactly what to pick. So now I pick on fact sales. And so now I've picked the single table that I'm going to use in my measure. All right, let's go pick the next item, which would be the name of a column. So if I click on this one, I now need to pick the name of a column somewhere. So I'll click on sales. And now I have the column name. Now, if I hit generate here, you'll see now that I've got this really interesting function up here. There are now multiple measures. I can now create all of these measures with one DAX statement or one click here. So you can now select each one of these things. And from this, I now have the minimum of sales. And I can kind of browse my way through. So the next one would be max of sales. And you can see the formula is changing here. I'm still using the same data column, but now I'm able to max and then average, sum, count distinct. All those different functions can be all added at once. So once we're done with this, we can then select a parent table. This means this is where I would put all the measures. So I'm going to drop this one into fact sales, and you'll see that it changes up here. Now you'll note here, if I move forward again to the next measure, there is not another parent table. So if I don't select a parent table, it will prompt me to do so, but I can pick now each measure. I could put them in different places in the data model if I wanted to. I'm not for this example, but it gives you really good customization now because I can kind of put measures anywhere I want, which is kind of cool. So you can build multiple places and place things wherever you want inside the data model. So if I click parent table again, it's going to ask for fact sales. Okay, so I'm going to click the all button here. So this is going to create and update all the expressions, all of those in my data model. Boom. It's going to ask me, so some of these things didn't have a parent table, so I have to go tell it where to go. So I'm going to select a couple of these. It's asking me for another one here, fact sales, sure. And what we should see, it looks like it did all of them, or most of them anyways. It might have failed on one option there. But now we have multiple measures. So now I have an average, a max, a sum, and a sum of sales. So now I was able to add all those other calculations. So now I can just drag and drop all those fields right onto my report page. And now I have all my other calculations up there that are now added here directly. I think something failed there with one of the measures.
Yeah,
so let me just get rid of sum of sales here real quick here.
I think it was your sum of sales because I think you already had it in the model.
Yeah, let me get rid of him.
I bet you got the duplicate or something.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do that. Let's try this one more time here. Let me get rid of this guy, delete him from model. I'm gonna try and run it again, and we're gonna run hopefully everything through here. So let's delete all these other ones here. Max of sales, delete him. And then let's get rid of average of sales. Something had an issue there somewhere along the line. So let's get rid of this guy. Delete. Probably should have hit the create or update option, but we'll try it again. We'll do here, and we'll hit create or update all. Let's see how fast it will go. Doesn't like one of them. One of them it doesn't like yet. Let's go back to min. All right, so it's one of my. Okay, one of my expressions might be incorrect, maybe. So I might have to go look at that one, but I'll go debug that one later. But it did add more stuff now. So we have sum, min, max, average. It looks like it might have failed on count of something, maybe. Or maybe distinct count. I'm not sure. All those should work though, so I'm not sure what it's doing. Mm-hmm. Maybe because I didn't select the parent table and everything. Maybe that's why it's angry at me. I'll try that real quick here. Hold on. Let's go that one. Fact sales. Yep. Fact sales. Yep. Fact sales. Yep. All right.
But yeah, as you're doing it, I mean, it really is, you know, and and if you didn't already have some other mistake, it may have kind of getting it, but it is a game changer to write these things so quickly, especially, you know, think about you have, you know, 5-6 columns of numbers that you're adding up, and you got to put measures in for every one of them. That's, you know, and these are your typical ones. So even just something like this, I know you're going to get more into that, but
yes. Yeah. And so, I mean, this is like the intro level of like what's going on here. If you think about what you can do now, right? So this was just adding the measures that we wanted, right? So let's go a little bit further here. There are other DAX statements that are kind of complex to write. So this one is, let's say imagine I have a table here and I want to do out of a 5-star rating, I want to be able to select 1, 2, or 3 stars and show text values here. Well, you can go out and Google it. There's some stuff on the internet to do this. So if you want to do some fancy stuff, you can actually take some people's other work and incorporate that. We already have some templates out there. So here's another good example. I'll go back into DAX Generator, and I have a whole bucket called text items, and I have this one called star ratings 1 to 5. So let's imagine I have scorecards coming back to me, and I need to make some math happen, and I need to build out the star column here. So now what we can do in this one is we can have a stars named measure, and then I can click, okay, let's go to the star table, and we have the product name and then the ranking or the rating of that rating product. So I can click a rating, and again, it auto builds the formula for me. I can go over here to the template and see what it's doing. So again, this is where things I think get really powerful here is this one measure is using 4 variables and then returning something with some repeating varchar things. So now it's got this whole extra bit of code here. You don't have to worry about it. It just does it for you automatically. So now that's the measure that it's creating. And now if I hit generate, it's going to ask me to generate this. I will hit create or update. It's going to ask me where to put it. I'm going to put it in my star ratings. Boom. Measure has been created. Minimize this. In the star ratings now, I now have a new measure called stars. So now I can go grab that and bring it over here. Now, this is why I get so excited about some of this stuff, is now that we've got this listed here, this star rating measure is easy. You can drop it in anywhere you want. Any data model anywhere can now easily add a 1 to 5 star rating around those objects. So this is where I think things can really get very cool, because we've generated all of this DAX code the same speed as we could write a simple sum formula. And I think this is why I'm like really bent on this, why this is so cool, and why you need to learn how to do this kind of stuff, because imagine all the common DAX things you write over and over again. This is exactly why Marco Russo and Alberto Ferrari, who are like the primo tutorial gurus around DAX, they've been around since it came out. They have an amazing website. SQL BI is their website, and they teach people about this for a lot of money, right? And so they knew this was a problem, and because of it, they wrote a book called DAX Patterns. There's a lot of common patterns you're going to use in DAX over and over and over again. And so what this tool does is allows you to take those common patterns and bundle them up and then throw them at any data model you want. So I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, I would also kind of add, right, kind of back to the question that somebody posted earlier, right? They're kind of new, and if a lot of people are kind of new to this, and you go, somebody says, "Hey, can you add some cool feature like a star rating or something to this?" And you're kind of new, and you go, "Well, I don't know how to do it." You could sit there and type into Google or Bing and search all you want. But this could be another place to come in and search, right? Maybe it's been turned into a template for you already, and then you generate it, and then instead of, right, you get your work done because the pressure is to get your work done.
Yeah.
But then start to understand the code that was kind of put in, or maybe with the other articles that you find. Then I think it's got, because we typically add the links of where we're getting something from, and then you can go back and reread those articles later.
Yeah. So what Kevin's referring to is this extra spot here. The template files that we allow people to produce, we actually give you the ability of being able to have your own links here. So you can click these links and figure out, okay, where did this quick measure come from? So this one here, community.powerbi.com, quick measures gallery, star ratings. If you click that, it will take you directly to the link. This is the measure. This is how it was created. This gentleman, Chris Webb, who is now a Microsoft employee, has built this. This is his technique. And so he used it. And so he gave some simple example here, and I took it a little bit further and extended this and made additional pieces here. Yanner asks, can this work for a composite model? Yeah, this is just DAX. If you have a composite model that's already up and running, so you have anything connected to analysis services, you can use this on a thin report. You can use this on a model. This can work anywhere you can actually write DAX. Now, one thing I will note here is if you are, I don't think it matters actually. I don't think it matters whether you're on the thin report or the model. I'm pretty sure it will work everywhere. I'll have to do some testing on that, but I'm pretty sure it can work everywhere.
I don't think on a thin report, a live connection, I don't think it will work because you don't have a model. So like you can't use.
But I don't know. Does it still work on there though? Because you're still just writing DAX inside the thin report. Maybe. Oh, maybe
no, because this is trying to connect. The tool is trying to connect to the model and add it back. So
I don't think it's the model. Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah, because there is no model. Just like Tabular Editor won't connect to a PBIX that is just a thin report.
Yep.
You could add report level measures.
True.
And now Kevin Morgan put a question out there about how to import the templates again.
Okay. So let me just go through that. Actually, I kind of glazed over that on how to get these templates in here. So a couple ways you can do this. You could go out to GitHub directly and go get more templates. So I don't think I kept it up. So let me go back here to GitHub real quick. You would Google GitHub DAX Templates, powerbi.tips. That should take you to the very first repo. And this is where you would download them, so that you can download everything from here if you want. So you can clone this repo. I don't think I think I've done this blog a couple times, but here's how I did it. I went into the program. I went to user templates. I went to open and explore, and it took me right to this location. I then went to Visual Studio Code, and then in my Visual Studio Code, I actually linked through source control right to the GitHub repo. Again, the steps are a little bit deeper there than most. Not everyone is comfortable using Git control or source control to open up things and move things around, but you can clone the repo, clone from GitHub, and then I actually have it. This is actually searching GitHub. I think it's Power BI -tips, and then you can say DAX, and then it should be DAX templates. So what it will do is it'll ask you where you want to save them, and then you can save these files in that same directory location here. And that's what I did. So that's why I have this DAX templates folder here. And inside here, this is all the information that came from the GitHub repo. You can go in here, and this is where all the templates automatically get live. The neat part about this is it's all code-based. So if you ever want to go back in and go check for updates or go get the current version of code, you have the ability of doing all that as well. It's a little bit more of a Cody-based way of doing this. Don't worry, I'm kind of working on a gallery that will just make it easy. Here's the different things that you have. Click this, download it, and the templates will be there. We will show you how to create your own templates here in just a moment, and then I will show you how to upload them back into DAX Generator here as well. Okay. Excellent. All right, so we're done with, I think, our initial examples. I have one more, and then we're going to build some stuff inside, make our own template. So the last one I want to show you here is, I think is another really relevant one. Every single data model that I do, I build my own date calendar. And so it's very relevant for you to go out and build your own date calendar. But I usually, or what I used to do, actually what I used to do, I would literally go to my own website. So I would go into Power BI Tips, and I would go search for something. I would go search for DAX date calendar. And then I had written a blog article a while ago around how to create your own DAX calendar. So I'd go here, and then I would scroll down the page until I found the code that I'm looking for. And then here you go, boom. I can create a DAX date calendar with this. Wonderful. But now I don't need to do that anymore. I don't use this anymore in what I'm doing. Instead, now I just go directly to DAX Generator. And here I already have some calendar with auto date times. So I've already made my templates already out there. And so you can go out here and grab a template. You go to the template, and then here's the calendar dates. And this will calendar auto and then generate all this DAX for you. So if I want to add my own date calendar now, I'll just hit generate. And then I'll hit create or update all. And you'll notice nothing let me select the table, because now I'm not creating a DAX measure, I'm creating DAX tables. So this is the neat part about this. Again, it's asking me to refresh my data set here. So I'll hit refresh. Boom. And with that, I now have a full date calendar that has now generated all this DAX statement for me right in my model. Again, another really quick adder. If you're doing lots of modeling and you want a consistency across your development team or your internal teams, this is another great technique here where you can just generate a full date calendar like instantly. And I only have, there's like more than one now, right? Other people have contributed other things in here. So that's my version of a date calendar. There are other date calendars that are in here, a date dimension standard calendar. Here's another template. This is one made by Marco Russo and I think uploaded by Kevin, but another cool date calendar. But this one does a lot more. It has your year number, month number, quarter number, week of day number, fiscal calendar year. Let's, shoot, why not? Let's add another one in here. So this is my dim date calendar. The fiscal month of first fiscal month of the year could be month 7, fine. First day of the week, 1 through 7. So that means Sunday would be the first day of the week. And then you could say, well, let's look at where the fact date fields come from. So before I actually do that, I need to actually unhide something here. So I'm going to go to my fact sales table here. I'm going to view hidden, and I want to turn on the date column. So I'm going to unhide the date column here from the fact table so we have something to look at here. So let me just go here to the date column. Let me unhide that one column there so it will appear. One thing I have noticed recently, and again, this is some changes that have been happening inside the DAX Generator tool, is if the column is not exposed, if you can't see the column, it won't let you actually produce the column inside DAX Generator. So it's obeying your hidden rules. If I click this again, you'll see now I have fact date sales with the date column. Now if I click date, it'll then inject that date column directly into this formula. Hit generate, and you'll see here everywhere I have fact sales date, which is coming up here. And I think that's it. I don't think there's any other spots. But anyways, now if I hit create or update, it'll now grab another date table called dim date. It's going to ask me to refresh again the model. And now I've got my other date dimension table. Boom. And this one has a lot more stuff in it. And you can modify it after the fact. If you don't like what it's doing, great. Update it. Change it. Modify what you want to modify. No big deal. If you go here to dim date now, you'll be able to see all the different columns. And you can go through and you can specify what you want for each of the columns, right? What the format looks like. What's my fiscal year? You can change the formatting of this so it can be adjusted for whatever you want. It's just the year, right? So it'll just adjust that. Or if I have one for day of the week, right? This is just going to be an I think a number actually. Let's go back here, look at that table. Dim date. Oh goodness, go away. Okay. So we have all here. Yeah, this is a better view here. All right, so the year is this year. The date is that date column. You have the year quarter. It's coming in as text. You have the quarter date. A whole bunch of other things here. Month numbers here. It looks like it's actually trying to grab a date field for that, but we actually don't want that. So we would probably change that to just be a whole number. Sure, why not? And then there's your month number according to time. Your day of the week. You should probably also make that another whole number. Sure. And there's our whole number. There's our fiscal year calendar. And then it does some other things for you as well. So again, really cool thing. There's a whole lot of like other calendar items here that you can use. But again, now that it's there, you can now use it in your data model. So you can go back into your data model now. And now I have these two other calendar dates that I made. So here's one of them. The other guy is cheating over here on the side. We'll bring him in as well. And now I can then link them to my date field. Connect it up. Sure. Boom. Connect it up. Boom. Done. So now I have two additional date tables that we've made. And to make my data model look good, I need to hide the date column in the fact table because that's really not supposed to be used for measures. Turn that off. And there we go. Now I've got two more additional date calendars that I've made in my model. And so now I have other options to pick for how I want to shape and modify dates or date dimensional things. Okay. Any questions, Kevin, or should I just keep rolling? All right. I'm hearing
it was on mute. Yeah, there was no, just some appreciation, a lot of thanks. Siri is saying no more notepad for her. So
yes, exactly. Good. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's exactly what we want with this. And again, if you think about like what should have quick measures been like? Mm-hmm. I mean, I really think this should have been quick measures. Like when Microsoft made it originally, like open up the spec, show me how you make them. Like let me build my own things. Like I think this is going to be really kind of a cool thing. So we're going to continue building into this library. And like my goal here, or my hope is we can get, hundreds of measures being created. And, I'd rather have the problem of, wow, there's so many things to look at here. I could just spend all day here looking at different measures of stuff. So we're trying to, again, continually to improve that and add more and more things in there. Oh, yeah. Could we create a DAX for top 10 values? Yes, we totally.
There might be one in there already.
There actually might be one. We could go down these rabbit holes for a while. So I'll be in an effort to kind of save time here. What I'm going to do is we've seen how to use a lot of templates, right? There's a lot of templates that are in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, I believe, I think there's a top one per category. I think you would modify this one. Actually, I think there's one already in there for filters. But this would be another one, right? Filtering the top 10 items or counting some of the top 10 items. This would be one that we could use. Okay, pretty cool. So let's build our own template. All right, we've seen how to make measures. Like, okay, well, how do we build this? Okay, well, what you can do here is let's just show you what one of these look like. So I'm going to right click on one and I'm going to open in Visual Studio Code, which you have to have Visual Studio Code. And this is the template. It's all JSON. Yes, it is. So I wouldn't make you write JSON verbatim to have you write all this stuff out by hand. So in an effort to try to help, so this is what I'm gonna take a play from Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk says building a car is not hard. Building the machine to make the car, that's hard. And I would kind of agree. It was a little tricky to do this. So I don't want you writing DAX statements. I don't want you writing DAX templates, right? I need to make a tool to help you build DAX templates and DAX statements. Enter dax.powerbi.tips. So this is my attempt to build a tool that helps you build the tools. So kind of in mind inception there for a bit. So what this tool does is it kind of gives you like a page-long description of like how you build a measure. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build one new measure using our simple sum. I think it's a good example just to kind of give people's mind thinking about how this would be built. And then I'll point out how you can make multiple measures. And then you can really let your mind go wild here because of all the options you can have with this, right? You know, where we can build a calculated table. And in that calculated table, you can add measures, right? So you can actually stack things together now where you could build tables and add measures all at the same time, which could be like, holy smokes. This is like, now you can build a date calendar and now you can build like calculation groups or other things in there. Like I haven't done everything under the sun yet, but I mean, man, this opens up the world for a lot of things because now the fact that you can stack multiple, I'm going to call them encodings, right? Multiple encodings for DAX together, this becomes much more powerful. Okay, so now I'm going to rebuild my simple sum. So simple sum is the name of our sample here, and I'm just going to call this demo for now. I really recommend you add a description. Tell people what you're doing with this, right? It's very difficult for you to write a template and not tell people what's going on with it. You know, this is a sum of a column that you select. It will be added as a measure. Like that, right? Describe what's going on there. Okay. Now here's where we start talking about and we decompile what these measures we're doing. So I'm going to go back over to Power BI Desktop here briefly. And I'm going to go into our measures. And let's do our simple sum again. Oh, of course, I broke everything before. Let's go to my sum of sales. This is the measure that we're working with, sum of sales. So we're going to rebuild this thing. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go back over to here. So the first thing is, well, what do I want to parameterize? Do I want to parameterize the name of the measure? Do I want to parameterize the column of the measure? Like, what do we want to do with it? Right? So I'll go down here a little bit lower to the encoding section. So where you create the equation, you go down here for the encoding. So first thing you have to enter the name. So what I'll do is I'll drop the whole measure that I just created right here. Boom, done. Now I like breaking it apart here at the equal sign. It doesn't matter where you do it, just be consistent. But I'm going to cut it there. And so the name of my measure will be sum of sales, and the expression, the output of that name of the measure will be listed here. And you'll see if you look up here in this other little evaluated expression box, it lists out the different parameters that you're using, and then it shows you what the output of the DAX expression would look like. So the idea here is as you build stuff on the left, the right-hand side will kind of pre-build what it thinks it's going to generate for DAX. So you can kind of spot check your formula and say, yeah, this is what I want. All right, so we have to decompile this now a little bit. So like, what are we gonna parameterize? So maybe we want to parameterize the name of the table and the column name itself. So we need two parameters, one for the table name and one just for the column name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have parameter 1, and I'm actually going to I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this table name. I'm going to do something like that. So it's easy to understand like exactly what I'm doing there. Now I can give the name of a name for the parameter. So, and I'll just do the same thing again. Table, spelling, table name, and I'll even put a little space in there. Okay. And then what you can do is you can select by default a value, right? So let's just say you have a number you need to inject. Maybe you want to use 1 to 5 stars as your input parameter. Maybe you don't want it to be 1 to 5. Maybe you want to set a variable to like a 6 or a 7. That's what this value is for. This allows you to inject a default value that you could automatically populate, but then other people can change after the fact. And you want to add a description. This is a table name from the data model. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, and I'll try and be clear here. The type of data that you're going to enter in, right? We have the ability of adding a data type to it, right? So a table name is just a string. So the name that the parameter is actually a string value. But then we want to let the tool know, like, okay, well, you're selecting a string name of a table. well, what do you select from the data model? What are the elements of the data model you want to select? So we have the combination of table and column. So you could select a table column combination. It'll auto-populate all of it, or you can select just the table name or just the column name. So here I would say select the table. So this is going to get just the name of a table. And now I have the table name up here. So I'm going to copy that, Control C. I'm going to go down here. And so inside this fact sales, I'm going to rewrite it. I'm actually going to take out fact sales, and I'm just going to paste in my table name. That's the parameter that I'm going to use inside my measure. And what you'll notice is, even though I've changed the parameter name here, over here, it fixes it. So even though I'm using the parameter, it's saying I'm going to insert the name table name into the parameter called table name. And then when I'm going to rewrite the DAX statement, it's going to drop it in right here where we said to go. So now we can spot check our formula and say, yeah, this looks correct. So we're going to add another parameter. I'm going to add a little parameters plus button here. And so this is now going to be my column name. So same thing as we did before. Name of a column. Okay, it's going to be a string value again because it's going to be just text. And this time we're going to be able to let you select a column. So now I'm going to go grab the column name parameter, and then we're going to inject that over here under the sales portion. Boom. And so now what you see is, again, it's replaced the values from you from the DAX, and now it's auto inserted them in the proper locations. Now, we still have this little guy here, sales, hanging around. We don't technically want him anymore. We need a different value for that. Maybe we want to use the name of the column in the name of the measure. No problem. We can parameterize everything. It's just text. So now we can take away sales and just drop in, boom, column name. So now what we have is the name of the column here as well. So now we can say, okay, sum of the name of that column coming in and doing the sum and name of column here as well. So now we've got everything built. We can then add general formatting options to this. So we say, let's just use a general option, no parentheses for negatives, and we may want a thousands operator. Fine. You can select a tag. You can tag this for different things. Like if you want to, hey, we're doing a simple sum here. This is just a total, right? We're going to add that. That's the totals option. And then you can add the authors here, Mike Carlo. And then you have other options here. Let's add some instructions. Do this amazing thing. And then if you want to have any support URLs, you can say here, yeah, let's go. Let's send people to my website, powerbi.tips. All right, with that, we are done. We can hit download file, and boom, we're complete. We've created a file. We can go look at it. So let's just go pull it open here real quick. I'll pull open this thing, and you'll know it just doesn't look so good. So what you can do is you can format it by using in Visual Studio Code. You can go Alt-Shift-F, and it will format everything for you. So boom, done. This is encoding everything that you need. And now that you have everything encoded, we can just go use it in the tool. So let me close that out. We don't want to save it. And then now, how do we add that template back to DAX Generator? So it's very easy. You go back over to DAX Generator. I can go right in here. I can just drag that file and just drop it right in there. It'll change the icon, just drag and drop. And when I drop it in there, it'll take the name of it. It'll put the name on the file for you automatically. And now I can go use my template. So now, same thing I did before. We can go here, and let me just go back to my model real quick before I blow it up again with all my changes. So I have sum of sales happening here. I'm going to delete him. Delete from model. Okay. And then I'm going to minimize this. And now I can go here back to my DAX Generator. Simple sum demo. Our first thing is to pick the table name, fact sales. The next thing, we're going to name the column. Grab the column name. We're going to go here, and we're going to go under fact sales and have the sales column, the sales table name. And then we're going to hit generate. It'll create the code, sum of sales, boom, creator update. We'll put it in the fact sales table. Great, boom, created. And now we have created our own template, loaded it into DAX Generator, and now we will see sum of sales has returned with now a new creation date of 6:55 p.m. And that's kind of like the full life cycle. Those are kind of the key things that you have. I've got about, man, I did pretty good on timing. It's 6:55. I've got 5 minutes left. I have one more demo we can go through if you want to see another template work. But that's all I've got for content unless you have questions.
I don't see any questions out in the queue. Does anybody want to come off mute, or I see
Yeah, feel
some
free to.
applause.
You don't need to have any applause. This is just me getting excited about stuff.
Hey, Mike, do you have any virtual table templates that you use?
Ooh, good question. And now you're talking about inside the context of a DAX statement where I would create a table and then use it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good question. Oh, let's see what we've got here. Kevin, I believe you wrote some of those, right? Is there any virtual tables that you're producing?
Boy, it's been so long since I messed
Yeah,
with
here's
them.
one. Calculate
Yeah.
table.
There you go.
There.
Oh, yeah.
So there's one where, okay, so this one is saying fact that we have a variable, a period Y, calculate table right in here, and then it's using another calculate for first day with data, first day in period with using a min X. So I think Kevin, you added a lot of these things, and these were examples that you were going through in the DAX book that you were kind of working through.
Right. I went through, I think it was chapter 1 of DAX.guide and put a lot of things out there, and they tend to use a lot of tables and the variables
Yeah, actually, there's a
out
lot
there.
here.
So there's a
Average
lot of
30
good
days,
examples.
average 3 months.
I don't
Calculate
even
table.
remember what MAT stands for anymore.
It's probably the example demo that they had. Maybe.
Yeah. It's definitely in their book, right? So
Yes,
and the
yes.
book is free. We talk about a book, but it's a website, a book, and you can get the whole thing online. Is exactly the same thing if you bought the physical book.
So yeah, there's a ton of virtual tables in there that you can go use. And again, once you kind of what I would say is I would start in desktop first, really. So I don't usually start doing DAX Generator stuff until I like kind of figure out what I'm doing. So I'm usually the creator, right? I'm a template creator, right? I'll build DAX and then I'll figure out how to make a template out of it and then shove it into the template generator and share it with people. So I would definitely recommend, go through here. You can read up on what's in here. You can kind of click through a couple measures and see what they're saying in here as well to kind of get yourself your feet wet on some more DAX measures. I don't have like a specific category for like virtual tables. But you know what, as we think about this in the future, we'll have to think about maybe we add extra tagging around that, right? Hey, this measure includes a virtual table. And one of the things we're going to need to do in the future will be, we're going to need to have a better, so one of the things I'm kind of dragging my feet on here is when I have some time, is I want a really rich gallery, right? Searching for things is going to be incredibly helpful, right? You can search for virtual tables. You can search for sum or SumX, right? And all the formulas would present themselves that have that equation in them. That might be really helpful. Or calculate table, right? Show me everything that has that certain field in it. So we'll get there at some point. I'm not there yet, but for now, everything sits in GitHub. And maybe, if you guys are web developers or you want to do some fun coding things on the side, let me know. I'd be more than happy to bring you on and teach you what I know. And we could always use an extra set of hands or two to help build out some more stuff.
And we might be able to enhance the README that we generate up on GitHub.
Totally.
Right. Because that if you're going to search for something, that's where I would start. I think the main README there, we go through all of the folders, produce that README. You could search to see if you could find something.
Yes.
I don't think we put the DAX on there, right? But the tags that you're talking about,
all the tags.
We could add something like that and add the virtual tag or something like that. So
if I go in here, DAX templates. So if you go to DAX templates, just on this page has a pretty large README on it. The README is quite lengthy because it has all of the information on there relative to I think most of the parameters or most of the items there. And again, some of these things are, I'm sorry. I didn't mean this README. I meant in the templates area. So if I go into templates, this README is quite long because this has every single thing listed in it. So if you want to look for something here, if you want to look for var, let's look for something else different. What would be a good one? SumX. There should be one with SumX in it. There's sums. So you can go through here and see sums. Let's go to filter. Here's filtering stuff. So you can kind of get through a little bit, uses date add and filters this date table with da-da-da-da. So you can go through and see some of these stuff in here as well.
Yeah, but I think if we add those tags right, because you get the tags on the generator.
Yeah,
I just never put it into that. That could be something.
Yep, we could tag
and if you hit that little hamburger with dots, you off the README up. So you got your README, the one down below. Yeah. That's a little faster way to page through some of them as well. So you could search, or you could just kind of, look for things there.
Yep. Trying to make this easy to use. I know we've got some probably user capabilities you probably should add there at some point in the future. Cool.
So that's a good one.
Great questions.
Thanks for putting this together, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. I hope you like it. I mean, every year I kind of like pick out my little, what's going to be my new talking track for this year. And I think this year is just going to be around building fun things around DAX and trying to how to become more. I'm lazy, man. I'm just entirely lazy. I like doing things repeatedly or automating stuff. So the more I can like use this and automate things, the more happier I'll be because I can just drop these things into model after model.
Okay, so it was bothering me that Matt is moving annual total.
Oh, we should define that
DAX pattern. Yeah, it should be in the description or something. Somebody that authored that ought to make that a little bit more obvious.
I know, right? Lame-o. Any other questions? And also for people who are kind of like getting used to this and just trying to figure things out for the first time, inside the Git repo, I do actually have, I made a whole section for templates, but I also had a learn section created. So this is where I'm actually creating like these different files, and where did I get these ideas from, right? I'm not smart to come up with this stuff myself. I actually went to community.powerbay.com, and if you go here, under here they have these things called galleries, and one of the galleries that they have is a DAX measure gallery. Now, also one of the reasons why I can't stand this, Quick Measures Gallery, here it is. Quick Measures Gallery. This is a great idea, but horribly implemented, because when I click on this, as soon as I get into this, there's all these little, great, wonderful. But like I have to click on every single one of these things, and I have to go through like here, simple SVG KPI icon. Okay. Holy smokes. Look at all this DAX. This would be a great opportunity to build this into a measure. So, for this, SVG KPI, right? I don't really want to do all this stuff, right? So here, what they tried to do is they tried to say here, replace these values. They're literally building this DAX in a way that should be built in a template generator, because they're saying, okay, use this table, value of the measure, value of the goal. What is the max value or the max value? End value must be higher than the end value of the goal. Okay, fine, whatever. What the text you want it to be is goal. And so from there, right, basically this person built out this really fun DAX statement, but everything they built here has to be republished into this, I'm going to do it now. Hold on. Now I'm intrigued. Copy. We're gonna try it.
This is gonna be his last demo, is building out one more template.
If I could do this talk every time I do one, if I can build one template every time, I might have a whole handful of templates by the time I'm done. I might have 3 by the time we're complete with this. But this is where I started, actually. I started here at the gallery and started picking out the measures that I thought, that's interesting. That's cool. And then from there, I started building them out myself. So if I'll refresh this, we'll go here to flat page. I'll go in here to the measure. I'll go to the formula. Boom. Drop that guy in there. I'm going to keep the equal sign, but I'm going to nix the SVG KPI. So I'm going to cut that out. I'll put it up here. So I have my full measure built out here, just like I wanted to see it. Perfect. We know that there are 3 parameters, 1, 2, and then 3. Now, again, this is where it gets a little tricky here, building stuff out the community, right? I don't quite understand exactly what they built there. So maybe Kevin, give me a hand here, what you think this is doing. So I think they're saying the value of the measure, the goal value. So that would be like the destination you want to get to. So if I look at his visual that he had there, right, there is, where did he have it? Is it just an icon? Where's the image of this thing? SVG. Let's go look at the PNG.
Yeah, you gotta hit that preview, I guess.
Yeah, let's go back here. Okay, so he's got a number, he's got a target, a goal to hit. Okay, and max value is probably the end of the bar, right? So that's the big number at the end there. So we probably need 3 things to kind of build it out, right? What is the goal? What is the actual value? And then what is the end of the bar equal at something at the end there? Okay, I think I can scrub myself away through this enough. So he has the main goal, the goal value, and the max. I'm thinking these could all be measures, in my opinion.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yes, sum of something. Let's sum of sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd have a goal, right? And I'm going to just arbitrarily make it a measure as well, potentially, right? So we have a goal per item. And again, these probably could be columns or measures. We could probably adjust that after the fact.
Yeah, if it was a column, I think you'd have to get something like selected value or something like that. But measures would work better there.
I would think so too. And then you have max value, which would be like, what is the end of the bar in totality? So we could set up a measure that would do that. And then this is just text. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to try that. So I'm going to make 3 parameters. I'm going to go parameter 1, parameter 2, parameter 3. And now something I didn't do yet. Every time I hit that button, it doesn't increment it. So that would be parameter 3. This will be parameter 2. We have parameter 1. This would be SVG bar bar graph. KPI, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, KPI. Yeah.
KPI bar graph with a goal indicator. Great. All right. So parameter 1 will be our main value, main data point. And then this will be, okay, so main data point would be technically a number. And we're going to have it grab a measure. So that'll be fine. And then data point number 2 would be my goal value. So parameter number 2 will be goal value. And then this will be also a number potentially. Again, we'll grab it as another measure. So that sounds fine by me. And then number 3 would be the max bar length. So max bar length. And then we will then make this also a number and also make it a measure. All right, good enough for me. I'll fill those out later if it actually works. Let's make it a, I don't think this even is relevant because it's just text. So we can just make it text. I don't think those are relevant. These settings are not needed. And then tags, we're going to call it a text operation. And then I'll throw my name in there for now. I can always fill it out, change it later. Stuff. And then support URLs. Okay, now this one's important, right? I like grabbing this URL of where this thing came from and going back here because they usually add some more descriptions around it than I do. So I'll download that. Okay, cool. We've got it. Let's go back to the templates here. Let's go into this one. We're going to grab this new one, drop it in there. Boom. Bar graph at the very bottom. Don't like that this always shrinks up. That's okay. So now we have the bar graph, simple KPI. I'll go back to our data model. Now, I don't have anything in my data model that I think will support this currently. So I'm going to kind of brute force this a little bit here. I'm going to go back to my data model. I'm going to build just some arbitrary 3-dimensional things here. So I'll do it in the star rating table, new measure. I'll call this goal value, and I'll just make it a goal value of like 20, right? We'll just make it something simple like that. And then I'll do another measure. This will be
max value.
Max value. And this will be like 100, right? So that would be like the end of the bar. Yep, so we'll need that one. And then we need the actual value, right? So we need the value that it's actually going to be. So then we have to do a new one here, new measure, and we have to say actual value. So actual value is like, what was the goal? Well, okay, so I should adjust that number. This should be more like 50, right?
Yeah, so make your goal more like 85 or something like that. Yeah,
something higher. Yeah. So the goal is 85. The actual is 50. That looks right. Okay, good enough. All right, so now we can go back over to DAX Generator, and we're going to try it. Go here. We're going to say measure name is fine. The main data point that we just made that, so that would be our actual value. The goal data point will be goal value. The max bar length would be the max value. And now you just cross your fingers. So it looks like it injected it correctly.
And this is literally how we develop them.
This is how it goes.
Because then we go through, we parameterize it, and then we bring it into a model and check that it works before we send it out to others.
Yeah. So I screwed up. I can already see where I screwed up. So I screwed up because I dropped the code in, but I never updated the parameters down here.
Oh, yeah.
Catch me on that one, Kevin. So I'll snag parameter 1. So our actual value will be this main value. That will be number 1.
You and then bracket that there.
Yep. That one would be parameter 2. That we need braces around it too, right? Because we're just generating the measure in there, right?
Right.
I got to drop the bracket. So I'm literally grabbing only the name of the measure. So in order for a measure to work inside the tool, you actually need the braces around it. So I actually have to be inclusive of the braces that where the measure would be going. So this is just the name of the measure. And then lastly here, I'm going to ditch this one and drop that one in as well. And I can imagine you could, if you had a table with the right data columns in it, you could do that, or you could use measures. Again, you can think about how you want to parameterize stuff here as well.
Change.
And we could even
3.
could have parameterized that one as well. Thank you. We could have parameterized the goal. Like we could change the text to be like something else. We could make that an input property, right? Actually, you know what? That's a good example. Let's do that one too. This will be parameter number 4, and we're going to say input text. Okay. This is the default value, right? So goal is what the input text should be. It'll be a string, and it'll just be user input. So the user will ingest that into the data set there. Okay. Let's just fix that last one there. So the goal is in text format. So I'm going to grab just this little guy here, copy that, and then I'll grab goal and put parameter 4 right there. So I'm going to check that everything works. Go over here to this side and just say, yep, data point, goal value, yep, max bar length, yep, input text. Great. This looks now correct. All right. Download file again. All right, I'm going to go back over to DAX Generator.
And every time you download the file, it'll give you a new file name as
Yeah, it does.
a GUID. So
well, and I did that so I didn't want people accidentally overwriting themselves
right.
for stuff.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's just not very human readable, and I apologize about that. But there's some when this thing gets a little bit cleaner and easier to use, it should be a lot. You won't have to. You never have to see that again. You just hit go and it goes to a gallery somewhere.
Right, but when you put it back into, if you use the GitHub and then you use the PowerShells that I have a way that it renames those GUIDs at the end.
Yes, correct.
To a human readable name, and then it's a little bit better. But we could get deeper into how to
DAX Generator does a good
process.
Yeah, exactly. And the DAX Generator actually does a good job. Even though the name of the file is like screwy, it actually renames the files for you and gives you a nice clean name here. So you can kind of ignore the GUID on the file. It's fine. The tools that you use will usually interpret it by the name.
Right.
Dan Meisner, hold my beer. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a good one. All right. So let's try this again one last time. Main data point here, actual value, goal value, max bar length, max value. Hit generate. Oh no. Why is it picking up the same thing 3 times? What did I screw up there? Let me go back and look at it one more time. Template. Parameter 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, did I click the same thing? Oh, I did it maybe wrong in here incorrectly. Oh, that's weird. All right, so let's try that. First one is actual value. Goal value would be goal value, and max value. Maybe I did that wrong. I must have somehow fat fingered some numbers in there. Okay. I think that's right. Now generate. Is it a bug? I can't tell. I had to work with Dieter on this one. It doesn't look like it's replacing stuff. I don't know what it's doing. Hold on, let me just delete it one more time. This is where I go off reservation here. And this is where I get myself in trouble. Okay, one last time. First one, actual value. Second one, goal value. Yeah, that looks right. Third one, max value. Generate. Max value for everything. All right, I'm going to work with Dieter on that one, but that seems
some bug in there.
So let's try it. I'll just shove it in there anyways. We'll stick it in star ratings, fine. Oh, it doesn't like this. Replace values. So there's a quote in here somewhere. All right. So in lies the problem sometimes. Let's see if it actually threw it in here. Or is it giving me a... this must be using the European syntax, right? Is that the only place that it's screwed up? All right. So then this would not be max value. This would be full value. And this one should also be
actual. Well, you saw it here first, folks. We found a bug for them to work on. So,
Thanks, guys. Now I got more work to do. All right, if I hit go,
or Dieter does.
Dieter does. Yeah, I'll throw that his way. Now this is text, so I think you have to actually change the data category to be a image URL, I believe, for SVG stuff. Then if I dump this sucker on a table somewhere,
Or a KPI card or something.
maybe. I don't know. I'll have to check it now.
I don't think it's image URL.
Those are
Web URL?
just unit cars.
So do you just leave it as text, Dan?
Leave it as text. Try it as text. These are just unit cars, filled in star or not. It's not really an SVG.
I thought you needed to do something. Oh, is it? Do you have to tell it to do something special though?
Oh, it is an SVG.
So it generates all the code. So it generates all the DAX to do the SVG for you. So it's built out the SVG item for you. I could have swore you had to have, like, for SVG stuff, you had to have the data type of the measure
or something. Yeah.
Let me see here. Format. Yeah, that would be text. Pretty sure it's one of these. And it's not liking it. Yeah, I think that's something's messed up in the DAX statement. So if all else fails, copy value. You can always go here and let's go to code. And let's see if we can hack it together. Zoink. And I think save as.
I'm missing a top start of where's.
Well,
See,
data.
we got a closing SVG at the bottom. Where does the open SVG start?
Well, open SVG starts here, but this may not be right, because I think it says end : something something image. I think that needs to be this. Maybe. Oh boy, now we're stretching me thin. So data : let's try this. Because there is a little hook. Who's got good Google foo here? Look at that.
There you go.
It works. Woohoo! All right, so it was that. So it's just that two errors in that one. So I'll maybe do a little homework on that one and see if I can get Dieter to help me out. But now, boom, we've got 50, and I think this was interesting. So it's red right now. If I change the actual value to be 86, does it go green? Oh man. Yep. Okay, that's pretty cool. Nice. Not bad. I think.
But once we kind of clean it all up, so
yeah, we can clean it up, and then we can just shove it in there.
I like it.
Pretty neat idea.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that was fun.
It was fun. So hopefully we still kept people around. Yeah, we went down to, there's only about 15 people, 20. There was 28 at one time, but
we had 28 until I started doing that, and then everyone's like, I'm out of here.
That's what the second hour is for.
That's what second hour is for. Now
actually, it shows on my other one, it shows 25. So, you know.
That's what the second, third, and fourth hours are for.
Yes, exactly right. Well, now it's a hackathon. Like, what do you guys want to do now?
Well, thanks, Mike. Is anybody got any follow-up questions for Mike?
Yeah, that's all I had today.
On this. You got a little bit extra there, so.
Yeah, that's your bonus time. For those of you who hung around to the end, that's your bonus.
I'm going to go ahead and find how to turn off the recording.
Okay.
So we got